Hello everyone and welcome back to Pod Popper's Place. Today I am participating in a Team Tiny Hop, and for August we are doing anything but an A2 card, and that's a little bit harder for me because I love my A2 cards, but I'm going to use this die that I got recently from MFT Stamps. I have not used it at all. It's a slimline stitch circle die, so we are going to make a slimline card. And then I'm also going to be using this greeting farm set that I just purchased. I lived in Japan for many years, and so when I saw this, I had to have it because it just reminds me so much. I actually climbed Mount Fuji, and so this is very special to me. And then I'm using a Spellbinders embossing folder that actually cuts out some little holes as well. And so I'm not sure how I'm going to use that on a slimline card exactly, but we will figure that out. And then I'm going to be giving away, it is a 5x7, so it's not an A2 size card base. It's a little bit bigger. And I will be giving this away to one commenter. So please comment in the comment section. So I have this beautiful Japanese paper. It is very fibrous, so you do have to be careful when cutting that your blade is very sharp because you will get frayed edges, and I actually slightly tore it here a little bit, and I may either trim that down or just make sure that one of my elements kind of goes over that and hides it. And then I cut out a about 4x9 frame for the behind this, and I didn't want to cut the circles out of this delicate paper, so I'm cutting it out of a cream colored, and then I will use this as my base for my stamps. And I measured try to get it evenly on top and bottom and side to side, and then I used my T-ruler to make sure that the whole thing was straight on the paper. So even if it's off slightly, at least it'll be straight. Because this folder cuts out little holes on some of the fans, I'm going to just use one of my circles from cutting this out in the embossing folder just to give this some texture, and this is going to serve as part of my backdrop for one of these circles. But first I'm going to cut it out as a little bit smaller circle so that you can have just a little bit of the paper showing behind it. And then I want to add just a little bit of color to kind of highlight the fan there and so I'm going to use some Stampin' Up! Petal Pink. Definitely have to have patience when you try to use a light hand, but now you can see just helps it pop a little bit. And then, rather wasting these circles, I'm going to use these for my two stamps that I want to also stick in the window, and then I'll also cut those down a little bit so that we have a little bit of the beautiful paper showing behind. So I got my heat embossing gun really hot, and I stamped my Mount Fuji image with some Versamark, and then I went back in and filled in a lot of the top of the mountain with the embossed pen from Ranger so that I could add some more white for snow, because Mount Fuji does have snow on it all year round. I went up in August and it still had snow up there. Not a lot, but it did have some. So I colored the top of the mountain with some Spectrum Noir TB1 and through 4 and some AG1 through 3 and blended those out. And then I did add a tiny bit of IG1 in the cracks where I left a little bit of space from the embossing pen because, you know, you can still see trees or rocks or whatever through the snow, especially in the springtime. So I think I might leave the center circle empty. This paper is just so beautiful. I didn't want to cover it all up. And so I think I might take the cherry blossom stamp and just stamp it around the corners here, heat emboss it, and then do a little bit of coloring just to highlight those a little bit. So instead of coloring, I went ahead and used this rose gold from Lawn Fawn heat embossing powder, and I just think it's super pretty and it matches the colors on the card. And so I'm not gonna color any of it, I'm just gonna leave it as is. So I stamped out my girl Anya, and she's just adorable, and I'm going to color her with some Spectrum Noir and Copic markers. And then I'm taking a stamp set, Stampin' Up! From 2003, so you know this is old, Art of the Orient. And I have quite a few of these stamp sets because when I was living in Japan, I couldn't not buy all the Stampin' Up! Stamps that were Asian related. And so I have no idea what this means. If you can read Asian writing, or if you're familiar with that, maybe you do. I'm sure it's peace or harmony or love or something simple like that. But I'm just going to use my VersaFine to stamp some watermark images on this background so it's not quite so plain. And then I did go in and heat set those with some clear embossing powder. You can just let it dry on its own, but it will remain tacky for a while. So instead of waiting for that, I just gave it some clear embossing powder, and it does make it stand out just a little bit more. And a whole bunch of pens later, we have Anya. There she is. Isn't she cute? This is kind of my gray-haired Anya. I really like how it turned out. So I hand cut Anya out, and I'm going to go around the edge with a black marker. But I wanted to, because there's a little white between her legs, and I didn't color her socks because what I found living in Japan was that they wear these white socks anyway with these kinds of outfits. And there's white behind her fan and behind her neck here. And obviously those are really too small to cut out. So I'm just going to go in with the lightest true blue color and just kind of color that in so it kind of looks like there's sky behind her. I could also maybe go in with a color from this and try to make it blend in. Maybe I'll try that first, I don't know. But I just wanted to color in something so that it kind of just accentuates the space between her legs especially, and then there as well. So I'm glad I went in and colored in this back area, because I realized that I hadn't colored in the little straps on her shoes. So that definitely helps the white socks stand out better. And then I did try to go in with a color that matched the background of the paper that we're going to put her on, but it kind of just looked like it didn't highlight enough that there was a difference. So it was just too light, so I went in with the light blue over it, and I think it just helps it separate a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and put this card together. I've got my card base here. It's an 8x9 sheet of paper, and I'm going to score at 4 inches. And because I have a short score plate here, I just have to flip it around. Make sure that's straight. And then I think I made this about the same size. You could make it smaller, the frame, if you wanted to have an edge around it, but I didn't really want to do that. And I made it this size, and I don't want to trim it down. sure our kanji writing is the right direction. And I'm thinking about maybe popping those up. Because we popped this up, then I'm going to pop her up as well. But we don't need to pop her entire backside up because she'll be laying on that a little bit. All right. So I almost forgot my sentiment, so I'm going to stamp Konnichiwa, friend, which means hello, friend. And I'm going to stamp it in the VersaFine and just hand cut it out. And I'm going to put it right here where that little tear happened because of this fibrous paper. So I ended up stamping this 4 times because this one didn't get a good impression. The one before that I smeared, and so in order for it to not to smear, I went ahead and put some clear heat embossing powder over that, and it turned out perfect. Just a quick tip here, if you ever find that you can't get your stamps clean again, especially after using VersaFine, I find that the Stays On cleaner, it's purposely made for Stays On, but it works also really great to get all the black and ink off of when you use the VersaFine as well. So now I've heat embossed that, cut it out, and put it up on some foam tape, and I hid that little bit of tearing there. I think I might cut out a flower or two from the stamp set and maybe a dragonfly, but probably just a flower, and place a couple of those around as well, and then add some of these little gold bits to highlight the gold that is in the background of the paper and the little bit of gold that I put on Anya here. And that completes my card. I put 3 flowers in strategic places to kind of hide a few little areas that didn't turn out quite right, and some little gold specks here. These are just from Michael's, nothing fancy, Recollections Chunky Glitter. And if I would have thought maybe more ahead, I think I maybe would have made this, popped the panel up and made this like a little shaker in here. But I just really wanted to keep that clean so that you could see the beautiful paper. And that completes my card, and I hope you will come back again. And please check out some other creators on the Hop and Team Tiny. And if you would like to win the embossing folder with the fans, please leave a comment down below, and I will make sure to put your name in the drawing. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.